Today we're back at Squirrel Hollow, the stunning Georgia home of best-selling novelist Mary Kay Andrews, but in this episode, the halls are fully decked for the holiday season. Mary Kay walks us through her cherished collection of Christmas ornaments and meaningful mementos collected over the years. She's joined by her friend and interior designer Clay Snider, and together they reveal how this year's festive magic came to life. To watch Mary Kay's full home tour ad-free, where she shares more about her holiday traditions, scan the QR code on screen or visit homeworthyplus.com. For access to all of our latest episodes ad-free and to receive other exclusive membership perks.
Hi, Homeworthy. Mary Kay Andrews here. Welcome back to my house, Squirrel Hollow. We're all decorated for the holidays. Come on in. I can't wait for you to see what we've done.
This Christmas, Homeworthy invites you into a season of wonder. Over the next 25 days, we're stepping into homes that sparkle with holiday cheer, where garlands tumble from mantels, ornaments hang like tiny treasures, and every corner comes alive with joy, merriment, and the spirit of the season.
And I don't know how many ornaments are on the tree. Last year I got 1,400 on, and they were made all over the world. There were ones made in America, Poland, Italy, Japan, just a wide variety, and I love them all.
We'll visit homes where traditions are cherished, where beauty is made by hand, and where rituals become memories that last a lifetime.
We make about 400 of these rolls every year, and on Christmas Eve, our family delivers them to certain families within the area, and our kids get to participate in choosing who gets them.
From quiet moments by the fire to happy gatherings around the table, we're celebrating the way the holidays transform our spaces and fill them with magic.
We do quite a dressy table because it's Christmas and it's a party and you want it to feel special, but you also, it's nice to make the table a little bit kind of imperfect, a little bit higgledy-piggledy. I want people to feel at a party in my home as if they're kind of wearing a ball gown but going barefoot. You know, it's that kind of high-low moment, the kind of specialness, but also the coziness of being really comfortable.
So pour something warm, settle in, and join us for Homeworthy's 25 Days of Christmas, a season-long celebration of holiday magic. To watch Homeworthy's entire Christmas collection ad-free, visit homeworthyplus.com or scan the QR code on screen. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hey everybody, Mary Kay Andrews here. Welcome to Squirrel Hollow, our home over the holidays. And a little bit about me. I am a full-time novelist, New York Times bestselling novelist, and a part-time decorator in denial. I have for years said that my style is sort of like if Ralph Lauren got locked in a 1950s Woolworths 5 and dime. So vintage and blue and white, because that's my jam, and also plaid. I'm mad for plaid and always have been. The house year-round has red and white and blue, and then we just amp it up and throw in a lot of vintage Christmas over the holidays. Tom and I got married Thanksgiving weekend 49 years ago and moved into our first little apartment and had nothing, no Christmas anything. So I started collecting then, and I buy things at estate sales, sometimes thrift stores. Oh, Ivy wants to come in and say hi. Ivy, come here, come here. Do you want to say hi? People give me things. My sister-in-law likes to junk. I go to the Scott Antique Market sometimes and buy things, but it comes from everywhere. I'm not really a theme person. My theme is overdo it. Just enough is not enough. Too much is barely enough. I've changed things around a little bit this year because we rejiggered the living room a little bit. I have a new television cabinet, but usually the same stuff goes in the same spots. I'm sort of a traditionalist that way. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the entry hall at Squirrel Hollow. And this is Clay Snider. He is my designer, my junk enabler. He's the voice that tells me no. He's my husband. And he is my partner in crime for a lot of my junking adventures. So actually, when we bought this house, I got him to come over before we made an offer, right? Yeah. And to say, yeah, you can make this work. So he's been in on this from the very beginning.
I'm a buyer of things just like she is, and so I buy things impulsively sometimes, but I used to have a sale every couple of years to sort of get rid of my hoard, and I had a sale at my house, and I had a box of magazines, or I used to get tons of design magazines, home magazines, and I had them for sale for $1 a piece just to get rid of them because I had stacks of them. And the next day I get a phone call from this random woman that says, I was at your sale yesterday and I bought a bunch of stuff and I love your taste, I love your house, I love your taste, and I bought some magazines and it had your address on it and I've stalked you and now I want to see if I could hire you to work for me. And so that was, I don't even know how many, close to 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was 2 houses ago.
So we have quickly became great friends and enablers of each other's.
And junk buddies, because you didn't really do estate sales before.
No, I didn't know about, I did know about estate sales, but I was more going to antique markets and things. And so she turned me on to estate sales. And so since then I've become a total addict with her. So we definitely hit up every estate sale in Atlanta or wherever we're traveling.
And the dealers know us.
Very much so.
And sometimes that's a good thing. And then sometimes it's not such a good thing. But sometimes the dealers will text one or both of us and say, I have something that I know you guys are going to like. So
they know that we both have, people ask us all the time what we're looking for, and neither one of us ever know because our taste is so broad in what we're looking for that we don't know what we're looking for.
Right, yeah.
So but the dealer, a lot of the dealers know there's specific things like vintage holiday or blue and white or something of that nature that we both love.
Yeah.
So
and vintage Christmas, they know I love vintage Christmas. The table here, actually we bought the table with the house, and this tablecloth, we had this house on the tour of homes. I think the first year we bought it, we've been in this house, 12, 15 years. I was on deadline for a book, really over deadline, but we were also doing the Christmas tour of homes in our neighborhood. And I had this idea to make a tablecloth out of cut up vintage stadium blankets. So, and I'm a terrible seamstress. So I had bought all these like moth-eaten, threadbare plaid stadium blankets, and I was sewing them together. And I kept posting on social media about it, and my publishing team was going insane, saying, stop messing with this stuff. So anyway, that's my tablecloth of many colors. My tea party Christmas tree, that was Clay's idea, and a dear friend of mine gave me most of those little blue and white vintage children's tea set pieces. So we just wrapped them up and threw them on there.
it's just the entry table, like to be a little, like a nod to what's going to happen in the rest of the house. So it's a little vintage, a little sparkle, a lot of blue and white, which is throughout the house. So that's where the blue and white tree, the theme obviously came from the rest of the house.
The console, those chests over there, the chinoiserie chests, I bought these at an estate sale. I saw the pictures of them online, and I knew the dealer doing the sale. And so I messaged her before the sale started, and I said, oh my gosh, how much are those chests? And she told me, and I was like, no, I can't afford those. But then I signed a new book contract, and I thought, oh, okay, maybe I can afford them. But now the mirrors are new.
Well, they're not new, but we're new to us. But I found them on Facebook Marketplace. We've been looking for years, I guess, for something to go with these chests, because there were beautiful mirrors with the chests when they were sold at the estate sale we went to, but she didn't want to get them. So then it took us years to find something to replace them. So I found them on Facebook Marketplace near Noonan, Georgia, and they are not a pair, but we use them as a pair, and we think they're awesome.
Yeah, I don't like things too matchy-matchy, as you can tell. And the Santa here, he is, I bought a cutout online, literally a piece of paper that you unroll. And then Tom glued it down to a piece of plywood, sort of decoupaged it, cut it out and painted the edges of it black, and there's a stand on the back. And I think he is a copy of the Coca-Cola Santa, but I'm sure the Coca-Cola Santa is trademarked, so he's a copy. The stuff on top of the chest is just part of my vintage Christmas hoard. I've been buying vintage Christmas wherever I find it for more than 4 decades, and I love the fact that some of the things have the original price. Like this was from Woolworths, and it was on quick sale for 40 cents. Now, I don't know where you can buy anything for 40 cents anymore. I like the original packaging, and the original graphics, I think, are so much more fun than graphics for modern day products. They take more time.
I know. Well, I said, well, who else has got like old packaging? But they're all displayed in the original boxes, so it's like 10 cents and things. So it just adds a little fun to it.
And the Santa was a gift from my sister-in-law, and I just found it again. And it's still, I just took his beard is tragically coming apart. And then these beaded ornaments I bought in an estate sale a couple years ago. There were dozens of them. They're all hand done with sequins and straight pins. And I can't imagine the hours and hours she must have spent doing them. And then, of course, her family sold them in an estate sale. But fortunately, I happened along and picked them up.
It's the bright, like vintage sparkle.
Yeah. We have neighbors who are goldsmiths and jewelers. And every year for Christmas, since we've known them, and it's been, 25 or 30 years, they make a Christmas tree ornament. They design it themselves and make it. Some of them are more elaborate than others, and then they give them to their longtime friends. So everything on here, everything is copper and brass, and it's an original design, and some of them are just so beautiful and intricate. There's this one is a clock with a bird coming out of it. There's a grandfather clock over here, a Christmas card that the envelope opens. There's a little Christmas light pole. There's some designs that their grandchildren made, and their grandchildren are now in college. So it's really just a sort of a sweet thing, and we look forward every year to the doorbell ringing and Tim and Janet bringing us the Shoemaker Christmas ornament for the year. And they all have the year on them. The mantle is all clay. I mean, I had an idea about, we'll do greenery, and we'll do magnolia and holly and cedar from the yard. My son works on a privately owned hunting reservation in Southwest Georgia, so he hunts all that kind of stuff. Then Clay kind of took it and ran with it, and you have to tell them about the detail on the corners, Clay.
We were recently at an estate sale, and it was for the Koch family. But anyway, they had a great estate sale, and there was a garage, and it was like the garage was part of the sale, but not really. And there were these 2 fabulous pheasant pelts, carcasses, whatever. And they were just hanging in the corner covered in dust. And I was like, I want those, because I had a vision for them. I'm like, we're using those for Christmas. And so that's where the whole thing came from. So there's
He had to like unnail them from the wall.
They'd been there for years and years. So that's where the whole theme from this came from, was these 2 fabulous pheasants. I think they're fabulous. And then, of course, the greenery. And then I've got some other pheasants over there. But these are the real meal deal. And, of course, the greenery that most of it is from her yard.
And the Staffordshire dogs, those are kind of a new addition. You were at the sale, right? One of us was there, and they were reduced. It was the last day of the sale. Clay happened to be there. The dealer is a friend. And I had said to him, hey, see if these are big Staffordshire dogs. See if those Staffordshire dogs are still there. And they were, and got them for a great price. And then the smaller Staffordshire dogs, my same friend Jackie that's gifted me so many things in the house, she was closing out her late brother's antique business, his storage shed, and she had boxes and boxes of stuff. And when she saw something she thought I might like, she'd just pitch it in a box. And so over the summer, I went down there, and actually we were gathering silver candlesticks because my son got married in our backyard, and we had 50, 60 silver candlesticks. Yeah, they got married in the backyard. So These were mixed in with the silver candlesticks. We always do a live tree. We like a Fraser fir. Underneath of it, we've got, for years, I collected antique, well, vintage, tin plaid transferware, bread baskets, picnic baskets, thermoses, all that kind of stuff. And so it's too early for me to have Christmas shop, so we stuck all that stuff under there. And the ornaments are mostly vintage Shiny Brights that I've been buying for years and years and years and years. We did have one year we were on Christmas tour, and it was the morning of the tour, and my husband was putting the Christmas tree up in our sunroom, and neighbors were coming over to check to see if we needed anything. And just as they were walking up the steps, Tom had wired the Christmas tree to the wall, but something happened. And as they were walking up in slow motion, the tree fell. And I don't know how many dozens of my vintage Shiny Brights I lost that shattered. And they still tease us about walking up at the exact wrong time because there could have been some bad words. There were a few bad words that were said. And the painting over there, I love antique portraits, and I tell people that is my great, great, great cousin Honoria, Honoria, and I have a story made up for her. It's all made up. It's not true. And so I have a collection of portraits, and I especially like portraits of women with attitude. So Honoria has attitude. Tom was a student at Georgia Tech, and we were penniless. I was working as a newspaper reporter. We had no money. I went to a craft sale on the Tech campus, and somebody had made that in like a pottery class or something. So that is always a reminder for me of our Tech days, because we lived on the Tech campus when he was in school there. And the Staffordshire lamps are also something new. Clay found those at an estate sale and bargained down the price. This chest, this pine, it's a carpenter's chest, and it has trays inside for carpenter's tools. And that was one of the first pieces I bought. I was freelancing as a journalist, and I did a freelance piece, maybe for the New York Times. And I was so excited about that. I wanted to take that money and use it on something that I would always think about. So this is what I bought. Until yesterday, this concrete deer was out in our front yard. And we decided we needed something for this tabletop. So the deer came inside out of the cold, and just more of my vintage Scotch plaid stuff and some greenery. This table I bought at, I think I bought it at an estate sale. And what I like about it is it's not so formal, because we're not formal people. And I just sort of think it's unexpected to see a table with a wicker base and an oak top. The sofas they're all slip covered. Everything in here is slip covered because we have bad dogs. You saw Ivy is the good dog, and they believe that there's no place they can't be. So all of that is slip covered. The wreath over the window over there is something we pieced together. The angel with the trumpet we found at a going out of business sale for a very well-known Atlanta antique dealer. And then I already had the oval pine frame that I'd used for something else. And so that was actually the angel was probably a French trade sign, right? Yeah, so we just wired it onto the oval pine frame. I love antique quilts, so collected some Christmas quilts and the blue and white quilts and more of my plaid stadium blankets that I've collected over the years. We love to watch TV, and everybody comes in and snuggles under blankets. My grandkids come over, and they hang out, and their friends come over and hang out, which we love. We wanted to bring in some sparkle, so we sort of corralled some of the extra beaded ornaments. These are Christopher Radka ornaments, which are very collectible. and we just shoved them in there with some vintage glass beading, and just to give it a pop of color and a pop of Christmas. The goose decoy I bought at an estate sale, and he stays there year round, but at Christmas he gets a plaid scarf. I've been in the same book club for over 30 years, and so I always host the Christmas book club party here. And everybody looks forward to it. Everybody brings a book to swap with everybody else in the book club, and we play a silly dice game, and I get my publisher to send new books so everybody can grab a new book to read. And we do Christmas Eve. We go to the children's mass at 6 o'clock and come back and do what my mother-in-law always used to do. She would always have a ham after we'd get back in the day from midnight mass. And then Christmas Eve, everybody can open. My grandkids are here, and my son and daughter-in-law, and my niece usually. Everybody can open one Christmas gift. You know, sometimes if I can talk everybody into it, we do, my favorite Christmas movie is White Christmas. Even if nobody else will watch it, I'll curl up on the sofa in my Christmas jammies and with a glass of wine, and I'll watch my favorite Christmas movie, which is White Christmas. I think because we probably have the roomiest house, and my grown nephews and nieces and their family come, and lots of times we'll have somebody who's at loose ends over the holidays. So my mom, my parents, and my in-laws always had, because we were both from big families. I'm the second oldest of 5. Tom is the oldest of 5. Both of our families had an open door policy. Come on in, you know, there's always room at the table. This is again, well, we collaborated on this. Yeah, the chandeliers. This is the second house we've had the chandeliers in. They're red toll, and the greenery is mostly from the backyard. The place settings are plaid chargers and my white Pottery Barn dinner plates with blue and white transferware luncheon plates on top, and then the dessert plates are from Home Goods. And the pound cake is from my pound cake recipe that I always make. And they were almost a casualty because last night when we were starting to set the table, we stupidly started putting the pound cakes out, and Tater was this close.
Tater's one of the dogs.
Yeah, Tater is not my grandchild. Tater is our dog. The bad dog, and he was this close to eating a pound cake, but he got banished, and we put the pound cakes away until right before the shoot. And the hurricanes actually came from Clay, and the centerpiece is just poinsettias and maidenhair fern in another silver punch bowl that I got at a estate sale. Estate sales are great places to buy punch bowls because people don't make punch and serve punch anymore. So if you go to a good Meemaw sale, you can almost always see lots of times a crystal punch bowl or cut glass, but this one is a silver plate. And then the pheasants were from another estate sale, right?
Well, a lot of this is there again. It's carrying over the themes. I mean, not really a theme, but
Right.
Wildlife. And so we've got antlers and pheasants and with dogs over here or whatever. But it's all like stuff from her just collection.
My
stuff.
hoard. And the Christmas crackers. We've been doing Christmas crackers. My sister married a Brit, and so I guess when she married Mick, we adopted the Christmas cracker tradition. And so everybody loves that, to have their own Christmas cracker, to pop it open, wear the stupid hat at Christmas dinner. The napkins, I love buying table linens at estate sales. They're always inexpensive. These are really nice damask dinner napkins, and I just had them monogrammed.
And a red monogram at Christmas.
Yeah, a red monogram at Christmas. And then the mantle, this is all clay. This is
Well, this is all stuff from her. We started out with just plain garland, just cheapy garland, and then we mixed in, just your cheap garland, whatever, and then we mixed in magnolia from her yard, and then also Tom, her husband, grew these amazing hydrangeas. Most of them are limelights, and he dried them, and so we had buckets and buckets of hydrangeas. So, like, why not use them? So we've got them. This kind of went over. Got out of control a little bit, but it looks pretty fabulous.
Yeah, and this is our great wall of china over here. We made, Clay and I made the wreath with the plates 3 or 4 years ago, I guess. But he womped it up extra womp. And that is a copper boiler that usually is by the other fireplace that holds firewood. This is not a functioning fireplace. So we just put the poinsettias in the boiler.
So we started out with just like cheap, just basic garland from Home Depot or Target or Walmart or whatever here. And then you got these trees were from
Michael's.
From Michael's. And so these are just a 3 foot or whatever, artificial tree. We put them in these crepe jardinières, but we made them, they were actual, tree, but we flattened them on one side so we could make them fit up here. But then I went back with the magnolia and just, shoved it in. Literally, nothing's wired in there. And then we went back with some other greenery and then all this awesome hydrangea. And then the same here. I also we found this amazing, on Amazon actually, garland that looks like cedar. And so it's mixed into here too. So all of this is, besides magnolia, is either fake or dried. So it's all, just great. But then Mary Kay loves ribbon. So that's all I've heard this whole week is ribbon, ribbon, ribbon. So we put this great, tartan plaid ribbon on here to give it the pop that it needed. So, but it's, pretty easy to do if you start out with artificial garland and just work your stuff in.
The tulip ears, I think this is the first time I've actually stuck tulips in them. That thing is smashed and then glued back together and
balanced up there.
Yeah. A strong wind is going to take the whole thing down. And then the secretary was another piece that I bought at the Charlotte Metrolina Antique Show, which is no longer. And then I've been collecting vintage snowmen for forever. And so the snowmen hang out there for the holidays. And then these are some of my Christmas books. Blue Christmas, Santa Suit, Bright Lights, Big Christmas, and then Midnight Clear. I have another one, Christmas Bliss, and I couldn't find a copy of the book. So that's what that is. And this is a chair from an estate sale. And it was interesting. I bought the chair from the estate sale and just enough of this beautiful blue and white fabric, just enough to do this one seat cushion. So it felt like it was meant to be. And then these chairs I found on my neighbor's curb and had them recovered. So this is some more of the Amazon garland. Somebody on Instagram who was an influencer said, "Oh, I always use this fake cedar garland."
And it looks great. It feels weird, but it hangs great like natural cedar does. But natural cedar dries out really fast and makes a huge mess. So it looks very natural and great. And then we loves these fishing krills, so I'll every year put these here. And then there again, her husband Tom dried the hydrangeas, so we have those. And then our magnolia, you can't get any more southern than that, and more of our tartan plaid.
Yeah, and then the new thing that we just did, I've been collecting portraits, as I mentioned before. I love portraits of women with attitude. So I did have very lovely framed matted vintage bird prints on the staircase wall. And I had this idea to do like a portrait gallery. And so I had bought some and hoarded some, and then I had to get some from Clay. And you can look up there and see none of them really look like they're happy women. They look like they're up to something. They look like they, and I've named most of them. The woman in the blue dress, her name is Vera, And I bought her, I think, at the Portobello Road antique market in London 2 or 3 years ago. So she was sort of the inspiration for the wall of Shady Ladies. I think estate sales are a great place to buy art. I bought this at an antique market in California years and years ago when I was on book tour, and I carried it home in a suitcase. And then this I bought recently, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But this piece and this piece, Clay and I were at an estate sale, and the woman, the owner, had what I thought was a very talented painter, and they were not framed. So we bought ready-made frames off of Amazon because having something custom framed is so expensive. So we bought something slightly larger off of Amazon, and then Tom has a miter saw, and Tom basically cut the frames up and then put them back together to work for the art. This was where the original staircase for the house was. And so this shelf unit was here, and usually it holds all my cookbooks, but the cookbooks got evicted, and Santa and the elves took possession for the holidays. And I've been buying those for whenever I find them for years and years. My grandchildren think that the elves, these are knee hugger elves, they're called. And they're super creepy looking to my grandchildren, which makes me love them more. Welcome to the Breakfast Nook. This was originally the dining room of this house two remodels ago. So we use it as a breakfast room. This stores all my china and crystal, which I have a lot of. And then our bar, ice maker. We're bourbon drinkers, so there's a nice selection of bourbon there. Cut glass. I like to drink out of glass. I don't like to drink out of plastic. And then we set this up to sort of like a gingerbread making setup. Every year, our grandkids have friends who do a gingerbread making party. And these are actually Clay's bought they're like ceramic gingerbread houses that he bought at, an estate sale, Clay? So, yeah, just sort of informal. And the blue and white chairs have been different things at different houses before. And you'll notice I have antique rugs, oriental rugs all through the house because of dogs. The oriental rugs don't really show the dirt, which is always a plus. And that's our English setter. That is a trade sign that, again, my friend Jackie gave me, and we did a little research, and we found out the paint is very faint on it, but it was done, you know how like Budweiser gives bars and liquor stores promotional items? This would have been a promotional item for a whiskey company. And my friend found it in Jackie found it in her brother's stash. And then Tom built a frame around it because it's literally done on a sheet of tin. The wreath here, I had saved a photo out of a Martha Stewart Living Christmas issue. And of course, Martha's wreath looked way better than mine, but these are all repro Putz houses, P-U-T-Z, which German things from the 1920s. They're very collectible, but these are new. I bought online, and then I just stuck them on a cheap wreath form, hot glued on the houses with some bottle brush trees, and I kind of like it. It's not literally as great looking as I'm not Martha Stewart. The Welsh cupboard is a true antique. We bought it for an anniversary gift for each other from a dealer at Scott's Antique Market here in Atlanta. And then I've been collecting bottle brush trees for probably 40 years. Some of these are newer repro ones, but the ones that are really sad looking and falling apart are my favorites. I love the ones that still have, like this one. I mean, when you touch it, the bottle brush things come off. It's in a wood. You can tell the old ones have like a real wooden base. And lots of times they will have the original 10-cent Woolworths price tag on the bottom. And I do have some like that. Now this one, let's see. Oh, this guy. This, I think, is my favorite. He looks like Dr. Seuss created him. And I have a pair of these. So, and these have gotten really, collectible and expensive. So you can see, I don't know if you can see it or not, the 25-cent price is in pencil on the side of the base. And that's a little wooden base with little mercury glass ornaments on it. And then it's mixed in with everything is mixed in with my blue and white. The tall lamps Clay gave me. Most of it is some more of that Amazon cedar wreathing, but we shoved up some cedar branches from my yard just to fill it out because I didn't really have as much. And that's the good thing, you can use fake stuff to start with, and then fill in with what you have. If you're lucky enough to live someplace where you have access to magnolias, cedar, cypress. We have holly and nandina in our yard, so we're lucky that we can go cut that. And the platter over the stove, I think I talked about in my last Homeworthy tour. I brought that back from an antique buying trip with my friend Beth from England, and I said, how am I going to get this in my suitcase? And her daughter, Rachel, is like the ninja Jenga packer of all time. So Rachel packed it into my carry-on, and I got it home intact. And the Santa thing is from a vintage shipping crate. So it's from Santa Paula, California, where a lot of citrus used to come from. And the cow is from a French butcher shop. We bought that at the same estate sale where we bought some other things. The wreaths are just Trader Joe. Trader Joe's used to have little boxwood wreaths, and they haven't had them in a couple years. I just wired on my miniature Santa. Those are actually, you would call them nut cups. I guess people would put them out at bridge parties, and you would put nuts in them for dainty ladies. And then my Santa mug collection, I was so excited. I just added 3 more Santa mugs for $1 a piece. And if you see the online prices for Santa mugs, I found some, what was it, $40 for 3 Santa mugs. So I only buy them when I find them for like $1 or something. And those, you can tell they probably were put in the dishwasher. They were made in Japan, and so the paint, probably came off in the dishwasher. I don't care. I think to me that makes it something I like more. This is a same thing with these. This is a Fitz and Floyd cookie jar that the organizers, the first year we were on our neighborhood Christmas tour, the organizers gave me that as a gift for being on the tour. So I love to bring it out every year. And you can see my collection of white ironstone up there and on the end here. So this is really the hub of the house. This is where everybody hangs out. There's a wine cooler here. Everybody has a glass of wine here. This is my baking center over here. I bake my pound cakes. I usually bake between 25 and 30 pound cakes every year at Christmas, and they go to everybody on my publishing team gets a pound cake. And so when I sign a new book deal, I always talk about to my agent. I say, well, it's a 2-cake deal, meaning my editor's going to get 2 more cakes out of this new book deal. And these are all vintage Christmas postcards, holiday postcards that I picked up over the years. And cake plates, because I bake a lot of cakes. And that is a vintage top off a shipping crate. This is how the graphics are so beautiful and colorful. People don't do that anymore. But that's what makes me like that kind of stuff. And, my cookie cutters, the kids, bake cookies, and we bake cookies. This is my cookbook. You can tell how long ago we did this cookbook. My grandchildren in this picture, these are my grandkids. They are now 16 and 14. And we shot that, the cookbook on Tybee Island. We're in our beach house, and the photo stylist had these Christmas gifts wrapped up and said, okay, kids, here's your Christmas jammies. Put them on and open the gifts. And of course, it was August, and they were so pissed when there was nothing inside those packages. They still talk about it. And the wreath was one of the last things my mom gave me. My mom's been gone over 20 years, but she had friends who were antique dealers, and they went out and bought all this different stuff at like a Goodwill in St. Pete, and then wired it together on this wooden wheel. And then I added the fake deer head because, again, enough is never enough. All the women in my family were great cooks. And my grandmother, like so many Southern families, we would go to my grandmother's every Sunday for dinner, all the cousins, all the aunts and uncles. And so I learned to love cooking and love the love of family, having family together at the table. Really, I got from my grandmother's house. And, people would be sitting in lawn chairs. It was not fancy. She did not have fancy china. I never had a cloth napkin, I think, until I went to college. So the things that I like to do are, part of it is, I grew up with that. And then part of it is me wishing I had grown up with it. The holiday novels are just really pure fun. My full-length novels usually have a mystery wrapped up in them. Lots of times there's a body, a murder. And so these are not as dark as those. There's a romance, there's some Christmas, there's some fun. The first one, Blue Christmas, came out, at least I think 20 years ago. And my editor called me up and said, I want you to do a Christmas novella. And I'd never written one before. I didn't know how. And so I went away, and she said to me, I want it on my desk by Labor Day. So I went away down to Tybee Island, where we have a beach house. At that time, we didn't have anything. So I rented a cottage from a friend, and I took my boom box. This is how long ago it was. And I had my favorite Christmas cassette, the Motown Christmas one, Phil Spector Presents Merry Christmas to You. And so it's July in this beach cottage, and I'm booming Christmas Baby Please Come Home. I have to get myself in the Christmas mood because I'm usually not writing it at Christmas. And Blue Christmas did so well that I did Christmas Bliss with the same set of characters. And then a few years later, I had an idea for a Christmas book based on, I'm such a junker. Years ago, I bought an estate sale a beautiful vintage handmade velvet Santa suit. And I displayed it for a while, and then I think I finally got rid of it. But I had the idea to write a book about a woman who moves to the mountains of North Carolina to reinvent herself. And she finds this Santa suit in a box in a closet. And the things she discovers about that, the magical powers of that Santa suit kind of turn her life around in the community that she's in. And then 2 years ago, I did Bright Lights, Big Christmas. And that one was based, I had seen a story in the New York Times about a family from, I think they were from Maine. And every year, starting at Thanksgiving, they would take a load of Christmas trees. They didn't grow them themselves. They bought them wholesale, but they would live in a trailer in Tompkins Square Park in Greenwich Village. And the whole family, husband and wife, and their 3 kids, I think, two sons and a daughter, would live in this little tiny trailer over the holidays. And the people in the village would take them into their hearts and their homes and, bring them food and let them shower. And so that story, and I met the people that inspired that story. And I sort of, did my own takeoff on it. So that's Bright Lights, Big Christmas. And then last year, Amazon asked me to do a special Christmas short story. And that one is called Holiday Hideaway. Welcome to the sunroom. This is really my spot. This was added onto the house probably 15 or 20 years ago. The two previous owners added it on. It wasn't conditioned space though. So when we bought it, we put in a splitter unit for heat and air, and then had insulated draperies made, really heavy insulated drapes. So I sit out here on the sofa and write. And Ivy, who you met earlier, loves to sit in this chair and keep me company. And if we close the doors, if we're trying not to, if they're muddy, we'll close the doors so the dogs can't get in here. And Ivy will stand at the doors and bark like, I want to get in there. This barn, I bought that in an estate sale in Savannah. It comes apart in 3 pieces. And then I bought the wooden farm animals on Etsy. And then the wreath was one of my first wreath making experiments. I just had been collecting bits and pieces of vintage Christmas and sat down with a glue gun and good intentions. And it's wonky. It's not perfect, but I don't care. I love it. So if we're in there in the kitchen cooking and screaming at each other, which is pretty frequently, everybody will sit out here and have a glass of wine, or the kids will sit out here and have a Coke or whatever. But then they can get quick access into the kitchen for when the cookies come out of the oven. So, and when we have just like other couples over, this is where we sort of start the evening sitting in here, having a drink, chatting, and then, flow into the kitchen and into the dining room for dinner. And I thought about putting a television out here, but I don't want a television out here. I really like the peace and quiet of having it just, a cozy, and I like small spaces. And this place feels like a hug. And that, my son, I have it on good authority from my son that this is the world's best nap sofa. So when he and my daughter-in-law and my grandsons are here, he'll come in here and stretch out. And this is his favorite nap spot. He'll close all the curtains so it's quiet and dark as a tomb. And that's his jam. And nobody's allowed in here when he's trying to, take his rest. He'll sit here and drink milk and eat homemade cookies. Paper whites are something I do every year. Started the paper whites this year earlier than ever. I started them before Halloween, I think. So, and I love the scent of them, and I love having fresh flowers, fresh live stuff, or, stuff cut from the yard year round. We have a big garden during the summer, and we grow a lot of flowers, and so I really love doing that. And I like to sit out here. I can see outside, see what's in bloom. If it starts snowing, it's magical out there. So that's one of my favorites. I light my scented candle, and I put on my my Christmas music, and I take myself away. Home means for me around the holiday season having my family close, having friends in, whether it's just dropping in for a glass of wine or, as I said, getting my book club girls together. It means family and friends and closeness, and stopping to really be grateful for all the blessings that this house has brought us. And the fact that this house is a place where my family and friends want to gather. That makes me very happy.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.